Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Monday, June 15th, Hartland Selectboard meeting. It is 5:30. The first order of our business tonight are Selectboard minutes from the June 8th. There are regular minutes as well as the executive session. I would entertain a motion to accept those.
I move we accept the regular meeting minutes and the executive session minutes from June 8th.
Thank you, Clyde. A second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Trace. Any discussion? John, do you have them in front of you?
I do.
Okay. In item 3 under new business.
Yes.
I guess the second sentence, there was a brief discussion of, we only have one public hearing, so it's singular.
Oh, got it.
Okay.
Then it should say brief discussion of the public hearing.
The public hearing.
As long as you've
Okay.
singularized it. There we are.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay.
So just because my own memory is weak, H15 is 30,000 pounds.
Yeah, that was the heaviest that we could go. Yep. Yep.
Okay.
So we had the motion for the load rating. Okay, and then we have the motion for the detour.
For the detour, right? Those two,
Yeah,
we made two separate.
Great.
Yeah, there's two are there.
Yep.
Was Mason both the assistant rec center and also the athletic director?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dual roles.
Great. Any other questions?
No, I mean the truth is, I find it, I find it hard to follow the number 3 under new business,
The many motions.
thing, but I'm just gonna assume that we captured everything.
Yeah, Cheyenne we went through that a number of times. It was in Cheyenne's defense, it was a very confusing conversation with all the motions and amended motions in that conversation.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor of both the regular meeting and the executive session from June 8th, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Going on to the orders through today. Again, I need a motion to begin discussion.
I move we accept the orders through today.
Thank you, Claude.
I'll second.
Thank you, Jim. Any discussion?
Did you say Rob wasn't coming back until September?
So we don't know exactly. It's estimated to be about September though. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he's out of the swing, but I think there's a long path of rehab. So.
There's not a lot. We didn't spend a lot of money.
No, I was
Well, keep up the good work.
I kept looking for page 6, 7, 8.
Right. Well, this happens when we meet.
Some of the creditors will be here next week.
No, pretty straightforward this past week.
Okay. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. It looks like we'll have one adjustment to the agenda. I'd like to allow John to go before we begin the first item on old business on that part. And should we have a member of the Vermont State Police, they're not coming in to bust one of us, but
there are a couple of troopers outside the door.
okay.
I got a gun to shoot through the door.
Oh, there are. Okay, so we will change the agenda as well. Okay, good. Okay, are there any public comments? Anything online?
Nope.
Okay. Hi. We're going to ask you to speak after John Leonard talks about 4th of July. Okay, good. Aren't you leading the parade this time? Okay, John, how are we doing with preparations for July 4th and July 5th?
July 4th and July 5th. Feel like I'm in a good space, as good as I can be coming into it. This will be different this year because we're spread out over the weekend. John and I had discussed, because the only options we were given for fireworks were Friday or Sunday. So we think originally we're leaning towards Friday night, but then decided to go with Sunday night, because there's always some cleanup involved after the fireworks, the morning after, sort of, some stuff left around, and we would have come in 4th of July, parade, Old Home Day, to like the field might maybe needing a cleanup, which we wouldn't have had time for that as that would have happened. And also this way it feels like, kind of like a build-up throughout the weekend. People will come for the parade, there'll still be the vendors, tractor pulls, there'll be band, a lot of all the usual fun, and then you'll still have Sunday to look forward to. Carlos and Friday will play at 7 p.m. prior to the fireworks on Sunday night as well. Been getting some vendors, some food vendors in place for both Sunday night, and then we have all the usual vendors for Saturday. The home day continues to change in the sense where we have more commercial vendors and less of the community organizations doing the fundraisers and providing the food, where that used to be the model here, and now it is more of commercial vendors to fill those needs. I think that's volunteerism, and everybody's busier than ever. It's just like how it is, sign of the times. I've spoken with the Sheriff's Department, which was actually really nice. Scott Gray reached out from the Sheriff's Department, so we went over plans. So we've got fire station end, we've got 3 corners here by Damon Hall, and then we've got somebody across from Mike's for the top of the parking lot. We'll also get the top of the parking lot for the fireworks. Let's see, like lots of small details, like extra porta potties, extra dumpster for the day. Get band for after the parade. We have the portable mini golf for the parade as well. We'll have a couple bounce houses. So last year I was down and collected signatures at the start of the parade. We have guidance, but we had a sign-in sheet where we had everybody's name and number. So I think that helped with just accountability of participants in the parade, knowing that we had your name and number. I think the feedback we got from last year, I think, was parking. I think lots of people, I don't think anybody actually got a ticket, but there was people parking on the Hartland Quechee Road, and I think they got written warnings, but it seemed to cause a stir. So we want to make sure we get some no parking signs out there on the Hartland Quechee Road.
Who's in charge of those signs, John? The town?
The road crew traditionally put out like
Okay.
parking signs for
Okay.
prior to Old Home Day.
Yeah.
Yes.
What about station road
About station road for,
parking?
did we put no parking signs up there previously, or?
There are no signs.
Sure, there are many no parking signs on Station Road.
Not in first section, the 2-lane section, when you have cars parked.
Okay.
So there needs to be signs on the north side that say no parking on either side. Because when you put signs on the north side, they park right next to the sidewalk. And last year, one of the sheriffs said it was okay, and he sight unseen. There isn't any shoulder there. It's the traveling lane, and when that's the only entrance to Station Road, it's a fire violation, fire code violation. It's pretty significant.
Do you have someone that puts signage up?
The road crew has traditionally done it.
The road crew does
day
that.
before, yeah. They tape off, they stake and tape off
The
the
parking.
parking area down on the big soccer field across from Mike's as well.
Do you have volunteers managing parking down there?
We do. We'll have some volunteers in the morning, and then the PTO took over, the Hartland Parent Teacher Organization. That was their first year doing the parking at night last year. I believe they're going to do that as well this year. I put the request in with them. And as I'm talking about all these details, like we had hypothetically talked with like the school parking lot as being a good overflow. So perhaps touch base down there, and or maybe we could get some signage to encourage people to park down it.
Yeah, we talked about running a shuttle, using the rec vans to shuttle folks for overflow parking if needed.
Would that shuttle be using the rec vans?
Yeah.
That would be the shuttle if we had to, yeah.
Okay.
And the reason for the split, just sort of just everybody's clear, because it's the 250th, we could not have fireworks on Saturday without paying a significant premium for it. So
And already the cost doubled this year.
it continues to go up.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we did get Mascoma put in a sponsorship for the fireworks, which is nice, which was a nice contribution. We've got some other letters out to local area businesses as well to see if we get any more sponsorship for the fireworks to help offset the cost.
Right. That was one of my questions. I mean, you were putting together the letter to go out to local area businesses, and are you saying one business was kind of
Mascoma
responded?
Savings Bank has chipped and is sponsored so far.
Yep.
Okay.
So there's two separate things. You have to apply directly to Mascoma. We have sent a letter out in addition to those to all the other businesses in town,
Right.
asking for donations.
Okay. Good. Yeah, one of my concerns home days morning, and the parking last year was kind of an interesting. This year, if we have some people guiding, it'd be great.
I think the parking it's traditionally kind of a free for all. It seems like that.
Yeah.
You know, I live on the Hartland Quechee Road, and there's many years I've been surprised coming down the road with how many cars are going up the Hartland Quechee Road.
Oh, so it's scary. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay. We're taking care. I guess it was 2 years ago that someone was showing they could do quite some turn on a very old tractor for the big crowd, and it was very scary.
Yes,
very scary.
I think they were directly addressed.
Okay.
We had contact information for that.
Yeah. Okay.
So hopefully that continues to improve with a little bit of accountability of signing in and leaving your phone number. And I think again we'll have a presence at the beginning of the parade and the end.
So is it safe to assume that participants in the parade will be in the same order as the list is given to the announcer?
No.
Where's the fun in that?
Hey, keep you on your toes over there, Clyde.
I think you should give them the list for the Windsor parade.
Although I did bring my bike last year, so then I can promptly bring the list from the fire station to you and actually beat the parade up because I'm riding on my bike.
That's
now,
smart.
right?
You're saying that the select board walks slowly in the parade and carries a big stick.
I'm saying he wouldn't even get a list if I didn't have a bike to
Okay.
get further out of here.
Okay. John, is there anything you need from us, or how can we help at this late date?
On this late date. Well, I'm not sure on this late date. I think moving forward, I think I need to reach out to the community and see if there's people that would like to get involved and take ownership of something. I think that would be nice moving forward to try to encourage more involvement and engagement from especially community organizations, although some are stepping away. But there's been a big kind of changing of the guard with a lot of these community organizations, but try to see what's out there and get some new things going. Off the top of my head, it seems like the cooperative nursery school seems to have really good support with their group of parents and their their board moving forward, so possibly they would be someone for me to chat with and like see if they wanted to take some sort of ownership involvement, because there's some potential there for, the parking is like a potential fundraiser. The Boy Scouts used to just do it by donation, and that's what the PTO did last year as well, so there is fundraising opportunities there.
Great,
so.
great. Just on a personal question, is our local 4-H group going to participate?
They just emailed me this weekend, yes. So they're gonna do iced tea lemonade, and they will also be in the parade.
Great, so with some heifers or?
They didn't specify if they were bringing animals or not, although I did have one farm check in about bringing horses for the parade. It's been a while since we've had animals.
Great.
Yeah, so.
Great. Okay, good. And I want to make sure you realize we thank you a lot for your work, and also the committee that's involved with it. I appreciate that, and please bring that back to them.
Thank you. Yeah, I've had good help from the rec committee. There's a couple individuals that like to go down to the start of the parade and help line everybody up and organize. I think what my role has turned into is sort of collecting those signatures, and Chad Trabeau really seems to enjoy going down there and lining everybody up as well. And then Kenny Gray, Kelly Pacelli, and have really enjoyed setting up the games area and getting out there. Gene and Randy Strawbridge have traditionally been the ones that have gone out for parking in the morning time to try to help direct things as well. So
Great.
It's been good.
Good. Yeah. Any other questions for John?
Excuse me, I did report a fallen tree before somebody gets hurt because it's on a sharp corner. Can I report it to you?
Yeah. Where is it?
I didn't know if you were on air or anything.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
But you can still say it.
Yeah, just, where is it?
Where Farmtown Road meets the opposite end towards Woodstock.
Mill Road downtown.
Town Farm.
Hartland Hill. Can you message BJ?
Just took a look at that tree this morning with BJ.
What
Just
was the request? 3 down?
I think there's a tree down.
Okay.
Town farm.
Town farm. Austin seems like.
where it meets Hartland.
He's probably letting dispatch.
So which dispatch will contact the road foreman? So never mind, Martin. We're good.
Oh, you can let him know.
It's gonna.
Okay, John,
It's not
any other
gonna
questions for
hurt
John?
Yeah.
No, it's not. I think you're off the hook. Good job.
All right, we'll see how it goes. It's always, I try to embrace it. I've learned to enjoy it more than I did in the past. But I'm not gonna lie, I never get that much sleep in that before though.
And of course, you'll take care of the weather as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, always weather dependent.
Okay,
So,
good.
Okay.
Well, I'm not putting you on the spot.
I'm happy to start my piece, but I can wait for Austin.
Okay, good.
Thanks, John.
yeah, thank you.
Should we just?
Thank you.
No, come on, yeah.
You want me to go?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
please. Can you pull a chair forward so we
Yeah.
can capture you?
Still this one.
Yeah.
Hello. My name is Cora Swanberg. First of all, I'm very excited to be here in Hartland. I grew up here when I was like 5 to 12, up on Mount Hunger Road. So very excited to be back here.
Well, welcome back.
Thank you. I am a social worker and I'm embedded with Vermont State Police. So we do a co-response model. As we know, 911, right, we're trained to call if we need help in any sort of way. So we have all types of calls. And we in Vermont have really leaned into the idea that we needed to open up kind of how we could respond as 911. I think like 80% of our calls nationwide are related to social welfare and mental health calls. So Vermont has taken a strong initiative with placing mental health workers in our barracks. And as well as like Hartford PD has a good program going, and some other local municipal departments. So Austin and I are going around, coming to select boards is chatting about contracts and things like that, and I am here to introduce myself. We have a fair amount of mental health calls in Hartland, and so I think the more that you all know that I'm here and available, I work all types of shifts, and yeah, my job is to help connect some longer term solutions to maybe people in crisis or repeating crisis calls we get. And yeah,
Are you directly with the state police? Okay.
well, yes, but like my technical employer is HCRX, which
Okay.
is the designated mental health agency. So I work a lot with the crisis team, and then we kind of plan and brainstorm like what makes sense for a response.
Okay.
Whether that be VSP and myself go out, or we try to reduce harm, because not every situation needs to involve police.
Yeah.
And so then I can do some of the coordination of like, hey, here's what's happening, and then make the crisis team.
Okay. Austin, I don't know your rank, and how do I officially introduce you?
Yeah, my name's Sergeant Austin Soul.
Okay.
So going off of kind of Cora's thing real quick, and then I'll dive back into our side, but we do have things that tie our hands as law enforcement when it comes to mental health and how we can interact with people in crisis. So Cora can handle that in ways that we can't. Like there are certain calls that we are just legislatively are not allowed to respond to anymore, compared to how we used to handle things. So that's where she steps in, and she also, probably the biggest benefit is trying to get in on the ground level before things escalate. So like if we get calls about people that maybe are, the community is recognizing or family members are recognizing that something is off and they're struggling in some way, but I can do zero things about that. Right? From my perspective, the way the state of Vermont approaches it is I can really interfere in certain ways if someone's homicidal or suicidal, right? But we're talking about a huge umbrella of things under mental health. So like when people are starting to just show some signs of maybe some crisis, or some people just live in a certain level of crisis, I guess. But that's where now we have Cora that can step in, and we have another gentleman, Nick. I don't know if she brought him up, but Cora's more of a social worker, which is her word, so I love to throw that out there. Where she can do everything, right? Like maybe the crisis is stemming from like them not having housing or something, right? She can really make the phone calls. She might not have the answer, but she probably knows the person that does have the answer. Nick is more traditionally just a embedded mental health worker. Like his background is in being an actual mental health screener and things like that. So he tends to fixate more on that, but Cora is just kind of she wears many hats, I guess. Is the way.
Cora, if there is a situation where you're called in, how do you hand the client or the patient or the individual off? Because obviously I assume you can't handle them entirely yourself. So what's the next step?
Yeah, I think it depends. Like I always go for assessment, right? Where my first job is to assess the safety risks. And then I make a decision of like, yeah, maybe I do need a second opinion. In Vermont, we have something called mobile crisis, where it's two people that are screening somebody. And so sometimes I'll call the crisis line and say like, hey, I need a second. Or sometimes I'll say, hey, I think it's going to be better served for the crisis team to do the whole screening. And that's really probably going to depend on the police response, right? Like Austin's saying, there's a lot of things that they can't respond to, and that maybe doesn't even make sense because it will increase, right, maybe the anxiousness of the person or the willingness of the person to engage in crisis services. So everything is an assessment, and I do a lot of, like I said, a lot of collaboration and consulting with the crisis team.
Okay. So one of the reasons for asking is our emergency first responders brought to our attention that there were a number of repeat calls, and when the person really did not need transport, they just had something else going on in the home, and they developed a system, as this was not a mental health issue directly, of then handing off to the agent and Hartland community nurses, and they became the navigators to try to see what was happening. That's why I was asking about the handoff. If there's a way that it was not a horrific mental health issue, maybe there was internal resources within town that could help.
Yes, I work strongly with when there is a community nurse, a town nurse, so they're great resources.
Okay.
Like you're kind of naming, not everything is a mental health crisis necessarily. A lot of it is, hey, this is, an ongoing chronic, it might be, hey, the house is falling down, right? My job would be, maybe I'm reaching out to Sevka or Cover to coordinate, to support that.
If you could make any comments about the state of Heartland from,
Yeah, so let me start by saying normally my lieutenant, who is new or to our barracks, he started in January, thanks Matt Schweitzer. He is a phenomenal resource to the state police because of he's also on the tactical team with me. He was on search and rescue. So for a while, in his previous role, he was a Swiss Army knife. He was on every special team we have. He started the drone program for the state police. Now he's running a barracks, but he still, obviously has all that knowledge. So it's very beneficial for us when it comes to responses to critical incidents. As well as our barracks is very heavy on special teams members. So we do have a lot of resources for those critical incidents. So then a little bit about myself. Obviously, I think I know pretty much everyone here. I grew up in Hartland, and I now live in Hartland with my family, just down the road. And so Hartland certainly means a lot to me and my family, and I want what's best for Hartland. I will shut down every house in that town at the moment.
I just was at a meeting with them, and it's been quite a run for them to shut those houses down, and Springfield as well.
Yeah, Springfield doesn't tend to stay shut down, but we have a lot of repeat work in Springfield. But the goal is to have that, and it turns into whack-a-mole because these places will pop back up. Drug problems. So that's all on our radar. It's all stuff that is being addressed. It just might not always look like it. We do plan on using a lot of our Heartland hours to work on that. We kind of have some plans in place, just utilizing that as because we do have that overtime that we can lean on. So because going back to our barracks, currently our barracks is staffed at 16 of 18 positions, which is probably the best in the state police. That being said, of those 16, 8 of them are out on injury or military leave at the moment, so we are not in a great place. That should change in July, hopefully. And we'll be in a pretty good spot where we can really do the things that were making a difference before. 2 years ago, we started an initiative where we're trying to stop a car. It sounds like not a lot, but when there's only 3 people working, we cover 24 towns. It ends up being a lot of work, but we're trying to stop a car a week in every town that we patrol in. Now, Hartland, that's not hard for us because a few of us live in town and we have the contract, so that people are working that. Maybe not as much as it used to be worked, but it still does get worked. Versus like other towns, like I was in Granville last week for a select board meeting, and that's just so far from here.
It's hard to get to Granville.
It took me an hour and 18 minutes to get there from my house, right? So, and that just tells you how big our patrol area is, right? So for those towns, it makes a big difference though, because when you go from having 0 traffic stops to even 12, we're talking, whatever that is, 1,200% increase. Right? So we were doing really good on that stuff for a while, and then our staffing just got to the point where we, to avoid burnout for everyone and things like that, like we really focused on the reactive things while still doing the proactive details to get to those houses in Bethel and things like that, and we're still doing proactive police work, but it definitely hurt the momentum we were gaining at one point. I'm very hopeful that in July that will kind of swing back, because our barracks is very well staffed when healthy. COVID / maybe some pre-COVID, like the downfall, not downfall, that was bad. It became very unpopular to become a police officer for a little while, right? So that impacted our staffing tremendously. That made it so we were focusing more on working our shifts and not as many contracts, right? Hartland, which is fine. I do think we're going to swing back. That's my hope. Other towns, we are offering to other towns that if they want to try to navigate getting a contract back, like Pomfret, had one at one point years ago. They may want one back. I think unfortunately, the unknown status with the sheriff's department has some people on like the fringe of what to do. And I won't really speak to that because I don't know, they're not my department, but we are open to, at least on our side, setting it up our chain of command to say that we want more hours or things like that. I know it was asked, because I actually brought it up, that I think we would work more hours in Hartland. And our chain of command said, once we start to fulfill that, it can always be amended, and we can work with you all to say, hey, look, we're hitting our goals, we think we could do more if you want, and kind of approach that as like when that arises, we can have that conversation. I will tell you, what you get when you get a state trooper on in town is, and this isn't, I truly don't think that I'm better than anyone else because what I do, right? But we do receive the most training. Our academy process from start to finish is weeks longer than anyone else's. And then like the training that we get, the special teams that we offer, when bad things happen, we ultimately are the ones that are gonna come, right? So that being said, like we do wanna work side by side with whoever you all decide to, you maybe have a second contract with. We were doing, obviously I think he's still the current sheriff, but there's a lot going on there. But at a certain point, we were working very well alongside with them in a lot of towns. What I will say, and I can't truly speak a lot as like a Hartland resident right now, but as a Hartland resident, what I would want to respond to my house is someone that's full-time, like level 3 certified, which, right, there's level 2 and level 3, right? Level 2 is a 2-week academy that really doesn't, right, it's 2 weeks to learn how to be a police officer. That's, here or there, I guess, but as well as just knowing what we're actually doing in town. So if at any point you want to know like what kind of calls we've handled or what kind of calls the other people that are in town might handle, I think that that's important for you to know, right? If someone just says like, hey, we took 1,000 calls in Hartland last year, that sounds great until you actually look what they are. And, like we might do for a problem house, we might punch a case for a directed patrol. That doesn't mean anything. That just shows you that we were in town. So like that, and that's a case number that's associated with Hartland. So if that makes up 200 of your 1,000 cases, like that's really not that impressive, right? Versus like if there's a lot of traffic stops in there or just like good, well-worked criminal cases, that's kind of the stuff that I would be more interested in as a Hartland resident. And as, I think, right, like I said, there's crime everywhere. We should be working our hardest to, navigate that and hopefully push that out. Maybe like New Hampshire is a good place for it. So the, overall, I think Hartland, there's not, I know where we have our problem houses. It's not, other than that, like I don't think there's really anyone on our radar for like Cora situation, which I can tell you, like that can almost be as big of a headache for folks as some of these problem houses, just because unfortunately, like, I think our barracks, the people that I work with, they do a really good job of we can work alongside Cora, we can speak with people, we aren't like these, they're hard chargers, it's the younger group of troopers, mixed in with some experience, but they want to get out and work, but they can also sit down and talk with someone, and we don't just charge right in, because just law enforcement has changed. So being able to work with Cora on those situations is helpful, but at the end of the day, the state of Vermont is what it is, and the resources we have are limiting, like what we can do. So we can do a whole bunch of stuff, and then the next week, this person, because there really isn't a ton of long-term, and that might not be the solution either, right? Like there's tons of different solutions, but the state of Vermont is lacking those resources, which can become frustrating for the members of the community, the other first responders like the fire department, because you're going to these places time and time again. And this can be as simple, like sometimes it's, like an elderly person with dementia that we're constantly, that they're eloping, and we're trying to find them, and it's just a huge tax on resources for volunteer departments that, right, like they have to get up and go to work the next day and things like that, and we're like trudging through the woods. So, as well as you get to the far end, like, Granville, because I was just there 2 years ago, we had the gentleman, and I dealt with, it was our previous embedded mental health worker, but her and I worked with this gentleman for months on months, and like anytime we get him into a facility, it felt like the next day he was out, and he ended up going over and stabbing someone in Middlebury, right? And now he's, now he's in a facility, but like that's not what we wanted to escalate to. So luckily, right, with Cora, the hope is to eliminate those things, but you can just see like how taxing that can be on the community and on the first responders, that especially the volunteer first responders that aren't getting compensated. But like I said, Hartland doesn't have that, as far as I'm aware. Overall, our calls, at least on our night shift, aren't anything crazy. I think probably like some of our worst things are on the interstate, which really don't impact the town. Overall too, like if I know that there's the sensors on Quechee Road right by Mace Hill, right? Is that the speed sensors?
Yeah, we're doing some traffic count data right now.
Yeah, so that's great. I was going to bring that up until earlier this week. I noticed it, or last week. So that's what we're offering to towns too, is if there are speeding complaints, which most towns have speeding complaints, is doing like a speed data collection, and then that way, especially with you all that we have a contract, I can put out and be like, hey, look, if you're going to work contract, this is when people are speeding in these areas. Let's try to work it instead of working it on, like obviously law enforcement presence in town is great regardless, but I just don't. For me, knowing when like crime happens, which technically can be any time, but like Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock, seeing some type of cruiser sit right here versus like, if I know for a fact based off your data that speeding or that these trouble houses are picking up traffic in the evening time, like that's probably when I would want people there. Obviously, right when no one else is working contract, the state police covers towns or covers the calls. And what I can tell you is the most inconvenient time for anybody to be working, we take the calls, right? So like when it's a Saturday night, it's probably the state police, right? And that's probably when things, right? That's when people are driving drunk because they had a bonfire or something, right? Like, but if we can target that with the speed data collection or just overall, like if there's an uptick, because where that one is might even, like for instance, if there's not even a lot of cars, but enough cars at like midnight on a Tuesday going over that sensor, I would say that they're probably coming from somewhere that's only like a mile and a half down the road, right? So like that can be helpful for us too. So that if we can get that information, because we're offering the towns that we would do that, and then we'll give them the information we collect. We do that for Bridgewater and Pomfret. And then we're going to use that. We'll share it with the sheriff's department if they are contracted. Just the last meeting in Bridgewater, they renewed their contract, so we were there with them, and we will work with whoever. There's not enough law enforcement to fix all the problems, so we have to work together. That's the only way to like make a dent.
Okay, good. Any questions?
No, that's great.
Okay. Austin, I think first off, thank you both for coming. And Cora, it's exciting to hear of the expansion and the collaboration within the state police that part. And I was also pleased to hear that the barracks are coming up to almost full staff. I know for years that you were worried about people coming through the academy. There was just no one coming through the academy, and it felt like.
So it's getting better, but I will say this is another pitch I put out here. Like, actually, the town of Hartland somehow can, like, on a somewhat regular basis, puts troopers through. But if you know people in the community that, the best way for us to improve our communities is to get people to come do this job. So if you know younger folks, or even, right, like, doesn't have to be young, right, we have new people that are in their 30s, 40s, looking for a career change where you can make pretty good money, have good insurance, and a good retirement. We're still taking folks, and we will always need people,
Okay.
so.
Great.
Can I just ask you a question on the contract specifically?
Yeah.
So you alluded to it. For years we've had a contract. We've not largely been meeting it, because I think because of some of the staffing challenges you referenced. Are you anticipating that would change in the coming year?
Yeah, so for instance, like if our barracks maintains its staffing level, I don't want to speak for everyone, but I know like I've become accustomed to a certain level of overtime. That it just comes to the point where I just like to make money.
Yeah.
So if I don't have those shifts that I can pick up every now and then, and we're right, that's a 9-hour shift, right? So that could potentially then just be 9 hours of Hartland time that I would pick up to make that difference personally.
Yep. Okay.
Like I'm someone that used to work a lot of Hartland time because of the convenience, right? I can literally walk outside and I'm working Hartland time, right? So now if they start to take away the things that are more mandatory for me to do, and maybe a little more taxing, right? Because working a shift coverage can just result in a whole bunch more work than town contract can still result in the rest and things like that, but just a little different. So, I, for one, anticipate with our staffing getting better at the barracks level, our mandatory shifts going down. So then, right, we'll have to kind of make up that overtime somewhere, as well as my understanding is that our like higher leadership is going to be leaning more towards contract stuff. Like kind of, if people want to do it, we're going to entertain it.
Back towards community policing, which had been historically what the strong business.
Are you saying that when they book our contract, when Vermont State Police cover us, it's time and a half? It's not regular time?
So I don't know exactly. I've never read the contract because it's a lieutenant level thing. It is whatever the agreed upon amount is. It's not based off of my salary or anything like that, my hourly rate.
When I say hours, the hours that we have contracted.
No
one is
We have
assigned
it-
at regular rate. It's always picked up by people who want overtime.
Just like the sheriffs, we have an agreed to hourly rate that we get charged by the state police.
Okay, on a regular, not time and a half.
It's the rate of the contract.
Yeah, it doesn't fluctuate.
Yeah, it
It's
doesn't
not
fluctuate.
fluctuate. So it's my understanding of any contract is it's to compensate for like wear and tear on vehicles, gas, things like that. And so there are certain things built into that, and it's just one number. Like let's say, I don't know what it is, but if it was $100, that wouldn't change if my overtime rate was $70 or $80. It doesn't matter. It's the same fixed amount.
Okay. Thank you both for coming. And,
Yeah, he's my dad.
Can you tell me I said
Who are you?
I worked with Ned for a long time in the Rivers program. I'm
Okay.
John Worker Campbell.
Okay.
He will know my name.
I will definitely.
Please do.
So funny.
Please
I've
do.
been meeting all types of people that know him across the
I
state.
like your name. He would mention you in Saturday, Cora, and then you said you lived in Hartland, and I was like, I think that's Ned's daughter. Please tell him I said hello.
Absolutely. Also, I think the one other suggestion that I am going around and telling towns is you all have a website, and I think the page that you all have right now is maybe, I don't know, I can't remember, but it has something to do with like in an emergency, like these are the people to contact. Making the suggestion of also you do have an HCRS as a resource, but also adding it onto like the emergency line along with 911 and whatnot, because also even if people are calling 911 right for a mental health emergency, we're probably going to contact HCRS anyways. So sometimes it's just better have them contact HCRS and then we can work with them.
Great, thanks.
So the other thing too is, and the big thing my lieutenant puts out is, the only way we can fix problems is we know about it.
Yeah.
So, and the best way can just be an email, because we work funky hours, we're busy with things. So feel free, I'll be the point of contact. I can push things out to my other sergeants or my lieutenant, and then the troopers. So use that email if there's anything in town that you want, even if like things like, stuff with the parade, like we can do those things. We've been doing like more touch of trucks, just like community-based things to get us out there.
Great.
So whatever you guys want, just reach out, and if we can do it, we'll do it.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right.
Good.
Thank you so much.
Have a good evening. Okay, let's go back to old business. This evening we have what I thought was the final chapter of the town plan, but Jim and I had a side conversation that there's a few changes in chapters other than chapter 11. So I don't know quite how we're going to address all of that, but why don't we start with 11?
It's up to you.
Oh, go ahead. Can you identify those, Jim?
Yeah, I think I can. So the first one that I've noticed is on page 64. It talks about the future needs of Hartland's transportation network and facilities. So I believe, John can correct me, I believe Two Rivers
Wrote this. Yep.
added this in. It seems fairly benign, right? So it's just additional information.
Yep.
So I would think that we don't need to make any additional changes to this red line text.
Correct. And
Okay.
some of this was based on work that is ongoing with troopers talking about addressing stormwater issues on the library parking lot and things like that. So.
Right. And I don't believe anything in here is a requirement, like if we decided to pave or to not pave the parking lot. it
No,
wouldn't
this is
matter.
just where we are, the direction we are headed.
So just, for your own reference, page 64, if anybody's got any concerns, feel free to raise them. And I'll scan down to find the next one.
Just had a quick glance. It looks good to me.
So the next one I see is on page 88. Again, it looks like basically we've rewritten some text around the rescue squad and healthcare facilities, so I think these are all general updates.
Yep.
Again, nothing that I think we need to make changes to unless somebody sees something that needs to be corrected.
Into Woodstock and Hartford. And again, it looks good to me.
What page? I think it was page 88. So hopefully it's below.
I don't see a need for any changes.
You good?
Yeah.
Okay.
The next one I see is on page 97.
97.
Another chunk of text that's I think been updated to reflect our needs around utilities and facilities.
My only comment that at this point, the last paragraph that was added there is out of date, but I think at the time of the writing, it was correct. And because this process is dragged on, I don't know that we need to change it at this point.
And the longer it drags on, the more.
Right, the more we're gonna find
Should
out.
put time-based things in here.
Exactly. Just, that's about the North Hartland School, so, the references, that's what's being talked about.
Just a matter of money. So John, are you suggesting the last paragraph on 97 and spilling over to page 98?
I'm suggesting that the last paragraph where that starts with at the North Hartland School Building, that we just leave it because no matter when the plan gets adopted, it will be out of date by that time. So in order to not be continuously wordsmithing this,
Okay.
just move forward.
I agree.
Okay.
The next one I see, I believe, is page 104, where I believe Two Rivers provided updated
So what-
information around employments.
Yep, so what happened here was
Categories.
when we were going chapter by chapter a few months ago, this table was flagged as a where did this table come from, because there was no reference to it. And when I met with Brian in Two Rivers, you can see the struck table on page 105. This new table and chart was added on page 106, which required some of the text preceding it to be changed. And that's what happened here. So it's just updated employment data.
Took me a while to see the line through page 105 there. Okay.
Okay, so the first material change that I see is on page 107.
Yep.
Item number 1, under economic development policy. It's a subtle change where the word shall was stricken and replaced with should. And for your reference, this is economic development in Hartland. Should be limited and restricted to
We
locations.
tried to keep the language consistent in those two parts, because we didn't want to create conflicts or ambiguities, so
Right.
whatever you have in chapter 1 the same language should be in chapter 2.
So I think my suggestion is we revert back to the planning commission's original text.
I can't remember, I mean, I think 90% of the shoulds and shalls we took care of.
Right, yeah,
But
so
there's
this
one or
one I think
two.
was just
Yeah,
later in
yeah.
the document.
Um,
So I guess, do we need a motion to consider that?
Following the format of the previous meeting, yes.
Okay. Then I can make a motion that we update page 107, policy 1 under economic development policies to revert back to shall, which was the original text from the planning commission. I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Trace?
Aye.
Okay. I'll say aye too.
So the next one gets a little bit busier, forest blocks.
Yeah, that's the one I stumbled on.
And, this is the last section before implementation.
So my takeaway is that it's talking about which map is which. Are you familiar with this part, Dan?
No, I'm not personally, but you
I'll put my glasses on. Yeah, so the first section talks about the maps.
So match.
Sound like they're corrections?
Can I give you this?
we didn't develop the maps, they were given to us.
Right, no, they're not town developed. The forest block maps are not town developed. It's statewide data.
Yeah, we just went with Two Rivers maps.
Yeah. And I think some of this language, Jim, is cleaning up old language, specifically that whole paragraph that was struck, starting with because of the large scale.
It's not changing any intent, it's just updating.
It's making it cleaner about where the data lives and.
Unsubstantial.
Correct.
Okay.
So if folks are good there, we can pop down to page 109.
109?
Yeah, so there are some strike throughs there. On forest blocks and habitat connector policy, item number 2.
Yep.
And I'm not sure that the strike throughs change the intent. it seems like it doesn't change the intent.
Correct.
Correct. And we're talking about the deer yards and other wintering areas.
Well, by going from animal to necessary wildlife, you include the birds and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Right, it doesn't change, to Jim's statement, it doesn't change the intent of the policy.
Okay.
And there's another change further down, actions to implement policy 1, item number 2 was stricken, which is just saying the forestry management plans shall be kept up to date in order to properly manage forest blocks and floodplain forests.
So we don't have forestry management plans.
Unless you're in current use.
Right, but this is the town plan speaking on behalf of the town, right?
It does get a bit confusing.
We don't actively have a forestry management plan, so I don't understand the intent of this action, because the town doesn't have any ability to influence that.
And it's been struck.
And it's been struck.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, I can just say the planning commission didn't discuss that and think that we did, so.
Yeah.
Okay. So
It would almost be as if it was assumed that if you have a large tract of property, you're in current use. And it's not the truth. There's a lot of people that aren't in current
Correct.
use that have large tracts of property that have deer yards and wetlands on them that this just doesn't apply to.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of places in the plan that just yield to state laws and policies.
Right.
Okay.
a
Okay.
little further, so I think we're
Okay, with the strike through there.
Ready
Yeah.
to go to implementation, chapter 11.
almost.
No, you got one more.
There's another one a little further down, actions to implement policy number 3,
Yep.
where there's a substantial strike through. Honestly, I'm not sure if this is stating the obvious, right? So item 1 there that's
Yep.
stricken through says projects need to meet Act 250 requirements and obtain applicable state permits. I mean, that's probably true, whether it's in the plan or not.
It was just declaring, wanted to be consistent with it.
But the next one might be, I'm not sure how we handle this, or if we,
I don't.
so what I'm trying to say, without having enough words to say it, the next one, item A, I'm not sure if we referenced something similar earlier on in land use. It says limit development to no more than 10% of the total acreage of the original parcel, and that's stricken out.
I'm not sure of the context. We're talking about a forest block here. We're not talking about
Right,
my 10 acres.
right.
Um,
So I think I need to zip backwards for a minute and look at it.
I think there was that original policy in the land use chapter, which I think we talked about it when we were talking about the land use chapter originally, and I think there was a rather lengthy discussion, but I think that policy was struck as a whole. I remember having a long conversation about the percentage of land available for development. Dan, I think do you recall that conversation?
Not vaguely.
You don't remember everything?
No.
Every time you talk about the town plan?
Well,
Because in this plan, Jim, we did have that discussion, but that policy doesn't show up in this plan that the select board approved for the town plan, for the public hearing.
let me just do a quick scan here.
Yep.
So, that wasn't helpful. Let me try that again.
And why was it struck? It states the project needs to meet Act 250 requirements and obtain applicable state permits.
Because I think that's
Obvious, that's
that's
obvious.
a given.
It's okay,
Right.
yeah.
I think it's a given.
They're not saying that you don't need it, they're just saying it's a given that this would be Act 250.
Right, the town's not going to enforce that, the
Right.
state has to enforce it.
Yeah.
So on that part,
So it is kind of unnecessary, but
Yeah.
it's not gonna hurt anything by leaving it, and it's also not necessary.
I think it doesn't add value to the plan because it's stating the obvious.
Okay.
Would be my 2 cents.
I think that's right.
Yeah. So the 10% thing, I did a scan for the rest of the document, and I don't see conflicting language anywhere else, so I think we likely took it out.
I think we took it out.
Okay.
And there is in the land use chapter in rural ag and forestry policies, it says that development shall be designed to minimize intrusions into open pasture, farmed agricultural land, or high priority forest blocks or habitat connectors.
Okay.
Which I think is what is getting at the actions that were struck in that statement number 2.
Okay, just have to go back and scan the old language. Hang on.
Okay,
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm comfortable leaving these or
Leaving it as is.
Yeah.
Dan, any concerns on your side?
Okay. So, anything else in forest blocks, Jim?
Sorry, I'm going back and forth back there in a second.
Okay.
I guess, so the last strike through is that the development project can only have a maximum of 5 lots or a maximum of 5 units. And that, again, that's under the forest block area, and that's stricken out. So,
If it's not in it should be in land use, something like that.
yeah, I did not see similar language in land use.
Right.
Remember, a lot of these things might have it could have come from an old wording of a previous town plan. But
I think forest blocks was a new section, right?
well, yeah, but the thing about Act 250 was amended from 5 to 10. So.
It was.
Yeah, I mean, now, what triggers Act 250 scrutiny is larger developments.
Okay.
So I think if you reference the rural area policies,
Yeah.
again, because this is actions to implement policy 3, which is basically avoiding disruption or loss of significant habitat. If you look at the rural area policies in the land use chapter, the policies there also outline the steps that need to be met to protect those rural areas to prevent the kind of breaking up of habitat.
Right. And there's no limitation on units.
No, because again, that's the conversation that I think that's the policy that we struck from that was struck from the original document.
Okay.
So our concern was that it was our oversight, but that the policies that apply to rural agriculture and forestry incorporate the policies of rural.
Okay.
There's certainly nothing that's allowed in rural agriculture and forestry that would be allowed.
Okay.
Right, I think we've only made one change.
Yep.
One word.
The should shall.
And
Shall
then
should.
now we're down into implementation
Implementation,
of chapter 1 land use, which starts on page 116.
So
On 114,
114.
I want to just remind ourselves that there's a recommendation of the importance of capital budgets. And that is something that we are working to address. John, you were going to make some comments.
Yeah, so I think if you read the comment that was in the town plan that Two Rivers made specifically on the land use, starting on page 116 in the implementation table, I think it kind of summarizes why many of the original changes were made. So the statement is that these are either goals or policies, but not recommendations. So Two Rivers added the chapter 2 recommendations here and assigned likely responsibility. So we struck they struck 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and summarized it into 2. And these are from chapter 2, which is the land use chapter.
So let me think about that for a second. So the title here is, land use is the grid.
Yep.
And recommendations. Right, so recommendations wouldn't be binding anyway.
Yeah.
Correct.
So we wouldn't have a
It would have to
debate.
be in policies.
Right. So we're not having a debate about shoulds and shalls.
We're not.
Yeah, in the recommendation section, you don't really have to worry.
Right.
This is also putting ownership to who should look after these things.
Yeah.
Which commission or which the select board or.
Yeah.
So recommendations. So striking out a recommendation is not going to necessarily hurt us
No,
later on.
No.
Okay.
it would only be if you wanted to make that a policy,
Right.
but it just, whether it's a recommendation is stated or not, doesn't really.
Yeah, so recommendation adopt local land use regulations.
Yeah, you can decide whether something you want recommended is just your decision, so.
Correct. So it's not a binding statement.
Right.
And T-Rock put a little plug for themselves in to say continue to use them.
Well, which we will, no matter what.
Okay.
They bring a lot to the town.
So I'm scanning down. So I guess I was hopeful there were no more red highlights later on, but it looks like there are some.
There are, again, on page 119, natural
Can I
areas.
just jump? I mean, the vagueness that I was wrestling with many months ago when I first read this, it's still here, but under agriculture and forestry, the town should work with area land trust. Who the hell is the town? So that's a good point that these are vague, and I'll just leave it at that. On page 119, the third from the bottom, the town should consider redirecting the proceeds from the state's land use change tax into the town's conservation fund instead of the town's general council.
Town general fund.
So
General
this
fund,
section is an added section, it's not a strike through section.
Correct. Because the section on natural areas, fragile areas, and wildlife habitat was added to the town plan.
Okay.
So therefore, there are recommendations following up on that.
Right. And those kinds of recommendations are probably fine. They just don't want to be, I don't want to speak for them, but I think their concern would be that someone could, if the town did decide and it wasn't in the town plans, oh, wait, you can't do that.
Phil, could you reread that that you just read, please?
I got it, Phil.
I got it here.
Okay.
The town should consider redirecting the proceeds from the state's land use change tax into the town's conservation fund instead of the town's general fund.
So if we pass this, does that become?
No.
This is a recommendation only.
Okay.
Should consider.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's only considered.
Yeah.
Not even do it.
Thank you.
Thanks. Don't worry about it.
All right.
Yeah.
I saw your hand go up, and I was.
Yeah, I know.
We got your attention now.
Yes, you did. Loud and clear.
Just making sure you're paying attention over there.
I appreciate that.
I did on page 121. will our new highway ordinance include that second item, amend the highway ordinance?
So that's one of those statements, and I read that. So we adopt road and bridge standards every year, right? In March or April.
Okay, that's a separate document.
It's a separate document. My concern on something like that is that we don't want to be judging driveway construction and the grade of construction. You know, our driveway permit says that they have to comply with V-Trans B71 standards.
Okay.
And we rely on the applicants to ensure that they are doing that.
But does that standard talk about grades on slopes?
It does talk about slopes, I believe. I'm not sure about grades. My concern, I guess I'm trying to articulate, is that I don't want to adopt more standards that we don't have the ability to enforce.
I don't think that should be a limiting factor. The standard is either a good standard or not.
I've seen
Enforcement is a separate problem.
Yeah,
But having adopted standards with no enforcement makes the standard less valuable.
True, but having a catch-22 where you don't adopt a standard and then
Sure.
could enforce it later, but you don't have it is even worse.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if a standard makes sense, we should adopt it. If it doesn't make sense, we should bypass it. I mean, personally, I wouldn't want a driveway that is a 25%
yeah.
grade.
No.
Right.
I had the
Driveway is
opportunity to watch a select board attempt to use a slope reading device with no prior knowledge of use of a transit or anything, and then try to make a decision on someone's driveway based on incorrect information.
I have one in my car now.
So, no, I don't want any of us trying to read the slope of someone's driveway. It's not gonna happen.
I think there's a recommendation in there. We just heard it, we'll have to.
Yeah, but again, these are
it's
recommendations.
not a
Right,
shit
these are
show.
recommendations only. Exactly.
Next
So
question.
I'm sorry, what page was that?
That was 121. It's the first full box on page 121.
On page 128, two above economic development, the Hartland should add signage to recreational trails. Should that really be the rec department, or shouldn't the Conservation Commission, I thought, was doing that?
So I
Maybe we
think
should just add Conservation Commission.
what I think, I'm gonna just a word of caution here, is that anything that wasn't changed was already tangentially approved by the select board.
Okay.
We approved the town plan for public hearing, so I think looking at
the next material change, not even material, the next red line change is on 129.
Right.
129. And I think we just talked about this in the previous chapter, and it's consistently struck out here like it was in forest blocks.
Yeah, so it's just making consistency with the language in the chapter.
Yeah, so we agreed to it in the previous chapter, we leave it alone here as well.
Right.
Yes, I would agree that everything's on 129 is
Right.
with what we
It's
just
the same
talked
three
about.
that we just talked about.
Yeah.
So it brings us down to 130. So these look like inserts.
Right, new language here.
What's the difference between the first encouraged landowners and block 2 versus block 3? To reduce fragmentation. It's the same.
This is the same one. That's just a typo there.
Okay.
So that new quote unquote new one can be deleted because it exists right below.
Yeah.
So the only new one there is that all the recommendation that all roads should be unpaved.
I mean, that's really not new, it's just, it was struck out in the previous one and then
And
inserted by
then-
itself in the next
And then
one.
re-added as it.
So it's not, yeah, there's really no change there. So, the people, is everyone good so far?
I think from where we are with the recommendations, yes. Do we have one change? I can't remember.
There was one change
Okay.
Right, but we still have another section to go, definitions.
in the definition section. Yep, exactly.
Okay.
Every time I scroll down, there's another section.
Yeah.
Just keeps going and going.
So this is a little trickier, I think, because this may tie back to language in chapter 1.
Are we on definitions now?
Yes.
or-
If everybody's good to go.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we're all in sync here. Okay. Yep. And Jim, are you looking at home occupation? Is that what?
Yeah, that's the first change I see is home occupations.
Um,
So this is a little harder. Let me,
Yeah, I don't know without coming through the other language. Dan, do you want to take a look at this one because it's
so home occupation is used several times.
Yeah, and that's because that's sort of what is the commercial use that is allowable in the rural areas, and everything else is excluded. But so it's really important to get this right. A lot of this was a definition that existed even under the old town plan, but I guess two groups just didn't like being too specific about number of employees and outdoor storage. So I can only say that's something you have to pay some attention to, and we can probably debate it. Whatever, if you disagree with the way it is here, the way we had it, rather than just striking it, if there was something else that you would want to consider, we would look at that.
So just reading it, some of my concerns is that it transitions from a definition to another definition in the language that was struck through. So I'll start with the first word, especially is somewhat vague, right? What do you mean? Does the definition only apply? It especially applies to those in those areas? It's just a confusing.
Yeah,
grammatically, it's confusing as a definition.
Well, we were trying to be specific. In other words, for instance, outdoor storage. If it had outdoor storage, then anything with outdoor storage, at least in our views, wouldn't qualify as a home occupation.
It would not.
It would not. It cannot have outdoor storage.
But
Home occupation is in there because it's defining what is allowed.
But
then you're limiting. Saying what we
but
don't
that's
have.
if the work is done at that location.
I'm sorry.
It's if the work is done at that location that you wouldn't want outdoor storage.
Yeah, the work and and it's a residential property.
But I mean, right, if you have a tractor stored outside, but you're taking it to work somewhere else, that wouldn't apply.
If you're storing the tractors, then you have a business somewhere else, and you're just storing the tractors. That's, I don't think that was it's having
a business
an
on
earth-moving
site
business
that
about
requires
and that you conduct on your home at your home site.
like a machine shop or something.
Yeah.
So
Well, machine shop is, yeah, I mean, that's,
I have two situations, without specific naming names. Stained glass maker has a separate building on their property. The house is the main building, and in that is storage for the glass making materials, and I assume somewhat of a workshop.
yeah, I mean, I
And
would,
it's the same for some in the fiber, they have a dye house where they're kind of a separate structure that material is stored there. So
It's not outdoor storage. It's
But I think using your tractor as an example, right? The definition it did include small farm stands,
yes,
right? So a small farm stand would be allowed as a small business.
yes,
I have a small farm stand on wheels that I use my tractor to pull to the roadside every evening at 5 p.m.
yeah.
But you say no outdoor storage, so does therefore the tractor need to be stored inside unless I'm using it? I'm not like trying to
That's
split
what I'm
hairs
saying.
here.
I
I
mean,
just think like,
I mean, these are the kind of things that, that we would have to spend a lot of time on if we're gonna, really start splitting hairs about what's in and what's
When you're
out.
talking about farming,
right, which is
you get a whole different.
But going back to this, is John's point relative is that by adding the sentences re-adding the sentences back, are we going down this vague path of kind of trying to describe every nuance, whereas if we leave it at a very high level, the definition is
right. I think what was struck was adding a degree of specificity that makes it more confusing, because then it's the what if this then this.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you what our intent was, which was is the outdoor storage. In other words, people piling things in view and on their property. And so,
You mean like a pile of rocks, an
Yeah,
excavator,
pile of rocks.
1 ton
I'm sorry?
skid steer, 1 ton pile of rocks, that sort of thing?
Oh, no, it would be,
But that's where I was going to go. You got a landscaping business, they got a pile of rocks, they got a pile of 1-inch rocks, they got a pile of.
if they have a landscaping business, they shouldn't be doing it in the rural area.
Yeah, but they store the stuff at their property and then they take it to the job
They
site.
should probably have an off-property storage site.
Right.
But so I think this is where the broader definition would be more beneficial, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because I think until we have, so right now we have developed in such a way that there are these things that exist in every zone in town, right?
Yeah.
In the future, looking at the land use map. So we have the landscaping business in a rural area.
Right, there's a lot of businesses in town that way predate even Act 250, and so they're all grandfathered in. There's nothing here that's gonna affect that. These are new permitted uses. So someone comes in and says, I wanna store rocks on my property for my landscaping business. That's different than someone who's been just doing it for years and it's, everybody knows that it's there. But it's it's to protect the neighborhood in that way, that people just can't come in and change the use of the land.
Right. So it is a little tricky.
Yeah,
this whole
because
thing,
it could be seen as we're trying, because we have ours, to stop others from getting theirs. And that's where I have an issue.
Well, that was always that's a problem with Act 250.
That is a problem with zoning and Act 250 both, right?
But it's worth noting, and I brought this up at the last meeting too, Act 250 permits or legacy permits, they live with the parcel. So I have an Act 250 permit on my parcel now, and I don't have a home occupation. I sell my house, somebody else moves in. They would have to get an Act 250. They might have to get an Act 250 permit to amend to start a landscaping business, and therefore that's when the town plan saying I can't store my pile of rocks outside would be applicable.
I think the permit it was only if they wanted to we're changing the use of it.
Yeah, but if they're buying my residential house, but I have the space to have a landscaping business, I think we're running into the situation where in my opinion, the broader definition, it creates
Yeah,
less
so-
challenges down the
So
road.
I'm gonna make a suggestion, right? So there's a balance
Yeah.
here, right? In trying to have a good definition without trying to build too many rules into the definition.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, we're trying to steer new commercial development
Yeah.
to the towns, to the town
Yeah.
centers and the state highways, and trying to prevent
Right.
new commercial businesses
Yeah.
from developing in the rural areas.
Yeah, and
So-
I'm with you,
yes.
and I think a lot of that gets covered with land use policies, right? And the section we're in now is just the definition.
Right, but the
So
land
when
use,
land use policy references a home occupation,
That's
you need
right.
to know what that means.
Yeah.
Right?
so you have to be careful, yeah, you do have to be very careful
Right.
with your.
Yeah,
So I think, so my suggestion, and I know you can't see this, but
I got it.
you got with the red lines?
Well, I've got the, well, mine's blue.
Okay. Home occupation, you know, there's a large section at the end struck out, right?
Yes,
And some of it is getting into very detailed
Right.
kind of requirements, right? A detailed requirement is not necessarily a definition. I think you could unstrike the examples
I would agree with that.
and say home occupation examples are, you know, A, B, C, D, right? But the rest of the stuff where we start talking about the number of employees, number of parking spaces, that's better left to bylaws.
Yeah. No, that would be my suggestion as well.
yeah, but
So-
remember that
Yeah,
in other areas other than rural, it's not limited to home occupation, so all this stuff that, you know, about a number of employees, that wouldn't even apply, because other businesses, you know, obviously have more than 2 employees.
things that are already not limited.
Yes, in other words,
Right.
we haven't limited any other part of town to home occupations. So when you read this definition,
Right.
it really, you know, the thing is,
Next
our
time
intent
it's the
is to
same
keep it
concept.
mostly applying to rural areas,
Right.
so.
But the 50% of the floor area that's still in there, secondary to the dwelling,
Yep.
you know, that in the examples, and the fact that you're not gonna have an undue effect on the surrounding neighborhood, I think gives you enough probably definition that you can come back and adapt your bylaws.
So let's turn that into a motion to move on. So I think
I
what,
just wanna- I don't wanna jam this down Dan's throat, but I wanna make sure we have some balance.
I'm not entirely clear what you're.
Yeah, I think this
Yeah,
is
so what
it.
I'm trying to find, so the red lines that are struck out, some of them are very specific, right, for a definition.
so it's going to be the opening,
Why don't you read what you would
Yes.
keep and what you would take out,
Yeah.
so I can follow along.
All right, so what I would keep, and I'll start from the beginning of the definition, home occupation.
Mhm.
A business use that is conducted within less than 50% of the floor area of a residential dwelling or in an accessory building on land adjacent to a dwelling, which is clearly secondary to the dwelling's use as living quarters for the owner or permanent resident of the dwelling, and which is customary in residential areas and does not have an undue adverse effect on the character of the surrounding neighborhood.
So you leave
So
it.
it's in there today, it stays there. And I would put back in home occupation examples, home office, small repair shop, hairdresser, etc. Or put that stuff back in.
So you take out the sentences between, where you put the period back after neighborhood and take out especially if located in rural residential area.
Yeah, I mean, it especially is kind of wishful, like especially if, you know, it's not a definition. And then it gets a little tricky because this is, you can be, is 2 the right number of employees? Should it be 3? You know, it's a lot, it's like requirements of being built into the definition instead of just having a definition.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was like,
Yeah.
I don't think we would argue so much about those the important thing is to have is to limit home occupations into, or limit in rural areas,
Right.
home occupations and nothing more. So if you just wanna, however you wanna do, I don't think that we would get a problem of someone who's just, well, do we have 2 employees or 3 employees,
Right.
it wouldn't go off on.
So,
I mean, when I look back, right, there are policies in the land use section that say this area is limited to home occupations.
Right.
So those are already built in.
Yeah, so.
This is
somebody
just the
says, What's a
definition
home
of what's a home
occupation, you're referring
occupation.
to this
Right.
definition. So I think we could live with, or, even agree with the changes you made. I don't think you've radically altered it by taking out those 2 sentences in the middle.
Okay.
because the standards exist within the land use policies, which is what I think.
I think 3 of us are concurring here.
Okay.
So
So
we need a motion then.
My motion is to restore, so let me rephrase that. My motion for definitions on page 131, under home occupation, is to restore the text, home occupation examples, home office, small repair shop, hairdresser, catering service, small farm stand, in no more than 3 short-term rental units.
Okay. Good. I'll second the motion. Any, Trace, Clyde, any additional comments or questions?
Well, I'm kind of involved with something because is Bruce's business a home occupation where he teaches ceramics at home?
No, because it's a hobby.
He's doing it in your house though, right?
Right, it's doing it in your house.
Well, the house, the garage,
The garage, right?
yeah.
Yeah, he didn't build a building so he can do this thing,
No, he modified my garage.
Right. No, so I think Dan just said it well. It's not, that would not affect, that's not the target of this.
Right.
Okay.
He didn't apply for an Act 250 permit, did he?
No.
No,
He would
then
have,
it's-
yeah,
It doesn't even
it's a
pertain.
moot
Yeah.
point.
If it's not Act 250,
Yeah,
I think your concern was whether or not you should recuse yourself from the vote because you might have a personal stake.
right.
Right. I don't believe what you described would be applicable to this.
Okay. We have a
Did Martin?
Yeah, one more comment. So does this include employees or does this not include employees?
Does not include the number of employees.
Okay, thank you.
it does not.
Just,
Taking that out.
I'll be quick, but this has become a service industry state. Vermont has become a service industry state
yes,
Yes.
because of the situation that we're in.
sure.
So, I would not be willing to not promote people who own like lawn mowing companies or that sort of thing from having a space to be able to keep their equipment near their home.
Right.
You know, so
Yeah, I mean, if you could take, it was arguable with the storage space section, but if you take that out.
because there are towns that don't allow you to have that unless you have a building facility and you have to pay a special tax for it, and I just would assume that we do not go there.
Basically it was like for people who lived in rural areas, it's what you would want or tolerate next door to you. You don't want something big coming in, changing the character of the neighborhood. What you're talking about wouldn't do that. Right.
Okay, we have a motion. All in favor, say aye. Motion passes. I believe the next item, which I don't have in front of me, but I glanced at, is exactly the same nature of, we have a definition, but then it wanders into a policy statement.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, do you have this? The hotels, motels?
Would you, I
Yeah,
understood what your motion.
Yeah. So now onto the hotels and motels.
Oh,
It's the same situation.
yeah.
Right, where it's a definition of a hotel and motel, but then it transitions
To policy.
to a policy
Which
statement.
policy is really somewhere else.
Should be somewhere else.
Where things are allowed and not allowed.
Right. So the 3 of us are on sync here, and that's what struck out. Right?
That's what struck out, correct.
Okay. So there's no change unless Trace, Clyde,
I'm
and
good, Dan, unless you have feedback, but.
It's, it's the same. I think the criticism is, if it is that, is well taken. In other words, you change from a definition to to a policy, but basically you said, that we were in the definition in the land use section, it said hotels and motels are not allowed, so
Right.
you don't really need to say they're not allowed again, so.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
So I
Good.
think,
And then, can I have my paper back unless there's another one?
Nope.
Oh my God, it's changed.
it's changed. So I think we made one additional word change, and that was it. Oh, no,
Oh,
two.
a sentence.
Two, you just said that we
That
amended,
whole sentence.
amended
Yeah,
this
all right.
policy and made the policy, the word change in
Yeah.
economic development.
Now, can I just ask a question
Yes.
here? So what is where do we go from here? You're voting on these things tonight. This will be the document is presented for the next hearing?
It's this, yeah, there will be not an amended copy of the town plan, but like a list of changes that were made from the first public hearing.
Is that,
Will those be flagged or?
Yeah, there'll be like a,
So
it's
someone can
essentially
look
like,
at it and see what the change from
Yeah.
1 to 2 was.
essentially like an amendment page.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we're talking, I'm not sure what the right word is, it's not an addendum, but a list of the changes
Yeah.
with a reference to what page
I
they're.
mean, you call them amendments, I guess, even though they're reversions.
And that'll be available
Yes.
at the next public hearing.
And do you have any idea what the timing of that is?
Well, that is the next question.
but can I just try to understand that? Is that kind of best practice, or should we have an updated document so it's clear what the current text is?
So I think best practice would be to just create a list of amendments from a list of adopted changes or approved changes.
And
There's,
use that as a guide.
Yeah, don't make them go through the whole document.
Yeah, it's just a matter of, we can,
But if we want to, and maybe we don't do this the same night, but if we want to pass that plan the same night, we would need the entire text
Right.
in a finished form.
I think you could adopt the version, you could craft a motion
Here's what I think we need.
to adopt the town
I'll tell you what I
plan.
think we need. I think we need the finished text. And I think we need that list of changes to say, here's what's changed from the last one to this one. Right? Because then we have a complete text that we've been able to review. We can say, yeah, everything's fine, everything crossed over just the way we wanted it to, and we can adopt this new text.
Yeah, so we can do that. We have 2.5 weeks or so to get that done.
It's gotta be done anyway.
It has to be done anyway, exactly.
So let me just be clear. We have a date of the document we're looking at as transmittal draft November 5th. Would this so the amendments would refer to what we amended in this draft,
No.
November 5th.
No, it'd be
Or then being carried forward to the new document.
no.
There's a new transmittal draft.
There was a
It's
new-
April, no, what was it? I forget what month it was.
Right, April or May,
Yeah.
there was a date that the select board approved a public hearing draft of the town plan.
Right.
Okay.
You were amending that town plan, because that's the one that was,
Okay. Just this very conversation means we've got to clean up our act. We've got to be very clear
Right.
about what the items we just changed, what document they refer to, and then have a new clean document that's dated tonight.
nope,
No,
it's still gonna be dated the April or May date.
until we.
If
finish the
we
public hearing and
change the
then-
town plan, we need to rewarn it and have two more public hearings.
No, we're changing it now. We need to have one more time.
But if
We
you
change
are,
it again,
right,
we have to
Right.
have another hearing.
there have been substantial changes that have been noted and adopted by the select board on the warned public hearing draft. Right? So we're gonna carry those forward. We will incorporate them into the town plan. We will create a list of amendments to the town plan or changes from the public hearing draft, the first public hearing. Barring additional substantive changes after the second public hearing,
Right.
the select board can adopt the town plan.
I'm with you. But I feel like you were trying to say something, you were trying to educate us on something else that I didn't hear.
Phil said about changing the current one and going that route, and that's when you were saying we'd have to have 2 more meetings.
Yeah, you don't want to, we're not redating the town plan, right?
Well,
I'm confused by
Yeah.
just the cover date.
terminology.
Your April plan is the one you've been
I don't
working on.
have an April plan.
All right,
I have
so
a
here's what we
November
got.
5th plan.
We have a November 5th transmittal draft.
Yeah.
That's the title page.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So
And that's what we've been looking at.
that's what we've been looking at, and it's changed along the way.
Yes.
So when we get to the next hearing, we're gonna have a list of the changes that we've made since the last hearing, which
Yes.
makes sense.
Mhm.
That way we have a guide, right? And then we're gonna have a new document, right? And the document is gonna be inclusive of everything we've decided to change
To date, correct.
today. And hopefully we make no additional changes
Yeah.
and we adopt that document. But that document has to have a title on the PDF.
Yep.
Right? So it's gonna have a different date. It's not gonna be the April.
Right, it'll be July 6th, I think is
Okay.
the, yeah,
Okay.
The date of adoption.
the date of adoption, correct.
I mean, my goal in this conversation is to be as clear as possible
Right.
for the general public.
Yeah.
And we were accused of people not knowing what page this was and how come my page is different than your page.
Yeah, so online, somebody just made the comment, this is the reason why we want to know what version we could read and what was the latest,
Yeah.
right? The version that is on the website right now and available for viewing in the town clerk's office is the latest version.
Right.
There have been a number of amendments since the first public hearing, which we will compile and put together a list of.
Yeah.
And incorporate those changes before the next public hearing so that following that public hearing, barring any substantive changes, the select board can adopt it.
Right, so your website might be first public hearing draft, amendments, current draft,
Yes.
and that's all on the website.
3
And we
drafts.
adopt the current draft if we make no additional changes.
Yes, I will.
That way people can see both.
Right, so-
Compare back and forth.
So here's why, it's like hands-on, tangible,
Yeah.
okay? You go to a meeting, you have this draft with
Yep.
you have a paper that says we've adjusted these, and then you have the final draft sitting there.
Yep.
And that way, there is no way that people can say, well, you didn't inform us of any of this.
Well, it's not final, it's the current draft.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
Becomes
Final
final.
will be after
Just-
the meeting, yeah.
Yes, so.
We're all
that's
saying the
where
same
we-
thing,
Right,
different ways.
exactly.
Yeah.
We're all on the
I
same
think
page.
that's-
You're asking to avoid confusion.
Yes, that's,
We have successfully confused everybody.
Are there any other public
No.
comments on this
No.
topic? Okay.
But to Dan's question there, the 15th, 16th, I believe at the last board meeting, July 6th was suggested as the next public hearing, which is the first Monday in July. And if we get this noticed, the public hearing noticed tomorrow, it would run on Wednesday, which I believe gives 15 full days. I don't have a calendar in front of me of
Right.
essentially run time.
But I think you do have some heavy lifting to do to make sure you get the current plan
Yeah,
updated and available.
but we can do that. There's no timeline on that. We can, the timeline, we should be done as soon as possible. We shouldn't drag our feet on it.
Because we need to read it before we
Right.
get to the public hearing, make sure we're all
Right.
comfortable with it. Right?
But so it's either we move forward with the public hearing on July 6th,
Yeah.
and the notice has to go out, which gives, us 2.5 weeks to get those amendments done.
21 days.
21 days,
Well,
Martin.
no, right, so you definitely don't have 21 days, you've got like 10, because you really want to get this into our hands, so we can see it and be comfortable with it.
Well, so then,
Right.
if you would like more time,
And we're pushing it back to.
then you're pushing it back until the third
Why
Monday.
would you need 21 days to update it?
Why would I need 21 days to update it? I don't know what the schedule of Two Rivers is.
So you're dependent on Two Rivers to make the change?
They are right now, no, but right now they are the keepers of the town plan so that they're not multiple versions floating around.
So can't we just take ownership and make the changes and be done?
We could take ownership and make changes and be done.
Because it just feels like there's too many cooks.
I agree. That's why there were too many cooks, which is why Two Rivers took ownership of the document when it was
It
at the
helped
planning
us,
commission.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
But we don't have. the
I
town
think
manager.
we don't, I think we leave this part of the discussion to John. You know, the question is, are we shooting for July 6th? And if he feels
I
it's
think if we
realistic,
take over this thing and just finish it,
you know,
July 6th is doable, but if you're gonna go back and forth with Two Rivers,
It's not a back and forth. It's a
Tell them
again,
it's a government
that's his
process.
call.
Right.
It's a matter of available labor and can we get it?
Right.
Make it clear you're not soliciting changes for them.
No,
Right.
gosh, no, we'll be over at the Tin Farm carrying placards saying, stop it, stop it.
So there's just one other. Can we email public comments or recommended updates and know they will be considered? I think it's worth noting that there's.
for the next draft.
Yes.
Sure.
They could do that in writing prior to the hearing, right?
Right. They could email them to me and I could bring them forward to the board at the public hearing. So.
I prefer
I think-
not to stretch into late July because all this says
Already
If we're
gone.
doing a hearing on July 6th.
Yep.
I would like the final text available to read on June 29th.
June what?
29th,
Sure.
right? That gives me a couple of days to read it, then we get a long holiday weekend. Right?
Yeah.
I don't want to be reading it on July 6th.
Correct. I agree with that.
Okay.
I agree with
Because it's possible that with all this back and forth, maybe there's a mistake, right? And we have time to correct the mistake. You know, something that we agreed upon didn't make it into the.
If it's a minor mistake, though, my understanding is you could correct that after.
Right. But I think we've gone through a number of changes.
If you missed something substantive,
Yeah.
it didn't get, yeah.
okay, so let's just state one more time.
So
what we're doing.
all changes will be captured and the select board will have a clean copy of the town plan by June 29th,
Which is 2 weeks.
which is 2 weeks. We will warn the second public hearing for July 6th at 6 p.m. Same as it was the first public hearing for an hour. We will schedule the regularly scheduled July 6th select board meeting for 7. At which point, if there were no substantive changes that were wanted to be incorporated by the select board, you could adopt it that night.
Correct.
If there were additional substantive changes to be considered, it just
The next meeting,
and requires an additional public hearing.
if they're substantial.
Exactly.
So if any suggested changes come in between now and July 6th, we will not have a chance to have considered them. So those would be considered as part of the hearing.
Yep.
And we would, at the July 6th select board meeting, we would yay or nay those changes. And if they were of substance, then we're into a third public hearing.
Correct.
Okay.
The
Christopher.
29th of June date, I'm just asking a question here, that's the statutory warning requirement? The
No.
7 days?
No, it's like a couple
No,
of days
It's
from
June
now.
statutory.
That's the requirement to give the board sufficient time to review the
What's
entire
the-
document.
but isn't there a statutory?
15
requirement?
days we have to warn it 15 days prior to the meeting.
But you have to tell them what you're warning, don't you?
Yeah, but we are warning the town plan that was the town plan hearing draft from May.
This is where it gets a little bit weird. We're warning our current draft with these edits. That's our new working copy.
If we're rewarning a public, so this is where I think we are in disagreement.
Yeah.
The public hearing draft is still out there, right? The one that was adopted.
The first public hearing draft.
That's the one that
With considered changes, made changes.
you have made changes, but you're not
You
reapproving the
can-
town
you
plan.
can- You can check it with,
Yep.
the LCT.
Yep.
Right? I wouldn't, as a citizen, I wouldn't understand why you're warning an old draft when there's changes, all right? I would expect you would be warning the current draft for hearing.
Sure. I will confirm, but I believe it is
That just sounds really confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see where you're going on that one. That we're going to open the hearing saying,
I
here's
don't know
a,
what the.
Yeah, here's the old draft, but it's not the one we're looking at.
yeah,
But the problem that developed was that, the changes from our draft to the Two Rivers draft came at, such a late hour, we didn't have,
Right.
it just took everybody by surprise.
Right.
So that we weren't warned
Right.
that you had a new version that you were working
Right.
from at that thing, so
Yeah, that I think, we can certainly
people
appreciate.
got excited.
Yeah.
And June 29th is gonna be long enough for you to be able to get a hold of a copy of the new version here.
Yeah, well, that's what I wanted, I was trying to nail down.
Hopefully it will not be June 29th, it will be before.
Planning Commission is meeting on the 1st, so if we have something,
Oh, sure.
yeah.
To
That's a
look
good
at,
point.
oh, that'll be great, and then you
Yeah.
would be warned.
Yeah, so we have to decide if
Of
we're
the change.
satisfied.
Then you could come to the hearing with
Yeah,
relevant
yeah, whether
information.
we're
Okay.
gonna say this is fine with us, or
when is your meeting?
July
He
1st.
said
July
first.
1st?
But
the
again,
first Wednesday is the first.
John's putting in for his vacation time.
Yeah.
He's gonna be taken off.
I'm actually gone
Next
between
3
now
days.
and July 6th. Martin. Yes,
Okay,
we will, so
okay.
I will warn the public hearing for July 6th. We'll work through this process. We'll get there. There's a path.
Okay.
Okay. We agree, and we agree that we're doing this with as much clarity and transparency as possible. Okay, then let's move on to the first item of new business, the Vermont State Police contract. Do you want to take a break?
No, I just had to stand up because my hip was killing me.
Yep. So you see the contract in the packet. It's the same. It's 8 hours per week with the Vermont State Police. Again, as was noted, the amount is significantly higher than what we budget for. We've been averaging a third of this amount over the past 3 years or so. We did hear Sergeant Sewell say that they anticipate doing more. We have space within the budget to cover those costs if we get there.
Is the state police rate higher or lower than the sheriff?
Higher.
It's higher. than
Higher.
The sheriff's rate.
The sheriff's rate is very low.
Okay.
Very low. But this is $26.56 higher than the sheriff's rate. Again, we're getting 40 hours per week of service from the sheriff's office. This contract is for 8 hours a week with the state police.
And in either case, we have the ability to renegotiate and go less with one and more with the other.
We do. And if we're happy with both and they are able to fulfill all these hours, we have the ability to cover that cost.
Okay. Then, I guess I'll make a motion that.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, thank you.
I'll make a motion that we approve the town manager to sign the new contract with the Vermont Department of Public Safety, Traffic Control and Enforcement Services dated July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2027.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Clyde. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I forgot to ask if there was discussion. I think we already had that. Okay, thank you. Moving on to the Hartland Cooperative Nursery School Lease document. We have a document in our packets. As John has pointed out to us, the document is the same except for the start and the dates, I believe.
Correct. There were no additional changes made.
Okay.
So I'm not gonna make a motion, but I'm gonna make a suggestion that we, the rent is super cheap at $575. I think a $25 increase would be fair.
So we did raise the rent 2 years ago.
And they came back with a town article that took all the money back plus more. Right? Am I right?
And we have a 2.5, we signed a long-term lease with Windsor or Hartland Early Learning.
With built-in rent increases.
I believe it did, yes. And it didn't look at this one, at that one.
Okay, so where are we?
So would folks feel comfortable with a motion to adopt the contract with a $25 a month rent increase to $600 a month?
What was the last part?
Would you all feel comfortable if we adopted the contract with a $25 a month rent increase?
I think since we had a tumultuous start and transition, that we should leave it be.
This is co-op nursery school.
Oh, co-op nursery school. That's right.
This is the co-op school.
I was reading this as the.
Nope, this is we have a long-term lease with those folks.
And the other lease does have rent increases built in.
Yeah. I'm hesitant, just given the need for quality childcare. And we were just reading that, in the recommendations that we have quality childcare in town. I don't know if we have a driver to increase the cost.
I think the driver would be that the cost of providing services in the space has increased.
Okay. Based on that, then, how did you come up with your amount? Was it just
It's just a small increase. It rounds it up to $600 a month.
Okay.
From $575.
Okay. I'd be comfortable with that.
What about Trace? He's gonna pay for it out of his stipend.
I just think what is I mean, $25 a month, is that really gonna help us?
No.
Okay. Then I don't agree. I don't think it should be raised because it's hard enough now to find a place to send your kids to get educated, and all it's going to do is make them scramble around and work harder to try to fund it and find a way to do it. So I just
And ultimately pass
we
the
just
cost
leave it
on
the
to
way it
parents.
is and sign it so that we can keep the little program that we've got, which is pretty darn good.
Okay. Do you want to make a motion to that regard?
Yeah, that's fine. I'll make a motion that we renew the lease as written for, I'm gonna find it. Okay, I'm gonna start over again. I'm gonna make a motion that we renew the lease for the Hartland Three Corners, is that? I'm sorry, what's their name?
The Hartland Cooperative Nursery School.
Oh, there it is. All right, I see it now. I'll make a motion that we renew the lease as is for the Hartland Cooperative Nursery School, Inc. Effective July 1st, 2026.
I'll second the motion. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay. The next item, we are members of the Greater Upper Valley Solid Waste Management District, and we need to appoint a representative.
Great.
All those who don't volunteer, take a step backwards.
Tom's not here.
Yeah, Tom's not here. Yeah, exactly. Currently, I am the Town of Hartland representative to the Greater Upper Valley Solid Waste Management District and chair of the Solid Waste Management District's board. And I would be willing to continue in that role for an additional term.
Do you get any benefits from that? Let's say free garbage removal for your house?
I do not receive any benefits aside from additional checks to sign.
Can you get me access to that compost?
I cannot get, that is, you have to talk to the solid waste district.
I thought we were talking.
No.
No, we haven't put him on yet.
Okay, any other questions, suggestions for
Do we have to have a
representative?
motion?
I'm
Oh,
just
yeah.
asking for, before we.
We, it's worth noting, we don't currently have an alternate. Bob Stacy had been the representative for a long time. He was served as the alternate. He has stepped back from being the alternate. We can put a posting on the website seeking people who are interested in that. But right now, there's only one
Okay,
representative.
let's cross that bridge. Do you want to make that motion?
I move that we appoint John Broker Campbell as our representative for the solid waste district.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion passes.
Thanks.
Town manager update.
Great. So, tax sale properties were posted last week and then one this week. So we have 6 in total going to tax sale this year. 5 are structures and 1 open land. So that's being taken care of. I believe tax sale is scheduled for July 16th this year. The North Hartland School demolition.
I'm sorry, so the parcels are posted on our website?
They're posted, so they're posted on the bulletin board upstairs. They're on the website, and we post them physically. We are required to post the land itself.
So when was the last tax sale?
Last summer?
Yeah, so some of those haven't been redeemed will.
Right, and to be clear, once properties go to tax sale, everybody has to work through the attorney. So whether that whole process, once it goes to tax sale, it gets removed from the town's hands.
Okay.
The North Hartland School demolition RFP was posted to the website and to the Vermont bid registry. So we've had a couple of questions on that already today. That got posted late Friday afternoon. So hopefully we'll get some bids on that and get that done. I met with the Conservation Commission last week. They're going to try to come up with some sign language to address the water withdrawals behind the fire station, which we talked about last year. And once they come up with a draft sign, we can bring it back. They'll bring it back to the select board and maybe get some signs printed and posted.
No trespassing, fire department use only.
And then lastly, the transfer of the Howe property up on Mace Hill, the Howe family is looking to relinquish that property to the Upper Valley Land Trust. There's a small issue though with all the deeds are somewhat unclear regarding the Quaker cemetery up there. And so what will likely be the scenario is that it's in all probability the town owns the cemetery, but it is unclear through all the deeds. And so what's likely to take place is that we will more formally take ownership of that cemetery.
Okay. But have nothing to do with the land being conserved.
Correct. Right.
Okay.
Right.
Good.
That would just be noted on the deeds for both the cemetery and then the conserved land. And that's it.
Okay. John, you have some correspondence.
Just one, we were notified again, the Vermont 100 is coming up, and it comes through Hartland. They essentially, all they do is tell us when it's coming. I notified the road crew and the fire department so that they're aware. There's a letter from.
So this is the horse and running race?
Yes. And it is July 18th and 19th. That's just the letter.
Which is also Michelle's birthday, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Is she running in it?
No. We're hanging,
You hang
chem lights.
Yeah, you hang lights. Yeah, so all we do is provide them and say yes and send it along to the fire department and the road crew for their awareness, because they do put up signs on town roads.
Great. Future agenda items would be town plan.
Town plan. Yeah.
And town plan. Capital plan, Quechee Road, hearing back on the actions of the health officer and town highway policy.
In this, and then the one other one, we have a couple of road network issues to talk about as a board. So, you know.
What do you mean by road network?
Roads within the town road network that we need to figure out a long-term solution for, such as where Gilson between Mount Hunger and Route 5, and some other kind of dead-end public roads that are in essence long driveways.
Okay.
And what is our long-term plan for those?
Okay. So after seeing everyone for 3 weeks in a row, I'll see you in July. See you next year. Okay.
That's right.
Okay. See you on the 4th by the sign shop. Okay. Good. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.